Oh hey, it's you guys again. Wish I could say I was doing better than the last time I saw ya. For the past few weeks, it's like I've been flying around with a bunch of rocks tied to my wings that nobody else can see. And now it's got me going all philosophical. Ugh. What, you guys really want me to explain how I betrayed my friends again? I stabbed them in the back to go save my childhood home, Discord announced my betrayal to every Pegasus in Cloudsdale before turning them batshit anyway. I flew off to find my friends and realized I was too late. And when Twilight finally fixed everything and went to find me, I pretended I was as insane as they had been to save face. I'm not repeating it a third time, you hear? You know, I used to dream about having my face up in the center of town, every pony's eyes on me. Those dreams are all nightmares now. Thanks, Discord. At least no pony in Cloudsdale remembers, or if they do, they pass it off as some delusion Discord planted in their heads. None of them notice how guilty I've been feeling, not when every pony in both cities has their own cart full of baggage to deal with. I went home that night with that horrible suffocating feeling still lodged in my chest, but I'd die for my friends if I had to, so I guess I can live for them too. Maybe that's why the element of loyalty still accepted me. I was ready to just collapse on my bed and wallow in misery all night. Then Scootaloo barged in and gave me the distraction I needed. Nothing like helping some pony else realize there's no point in beating yourself up over impossible decisions to help pull your head out of your own plank. I let her share my bed that night, curled around me like any foal would with their mom. Least I could do when we both had the same weights on our wings. She was still there when I woke up, a little spot of hyperactive orange to chase away the nightmares. I'd opened my mouth to remind her she was going to be late for school before remembering that Celestia had ordered the schools closed to give ponies more time to recover. And that made me remember. There was a time I'd been with Rarity and Fluttershy, helping to look after the Crusaders after Fluttershy proved how much of a hoofle they could be. Don't ask how I got roped into looking after a filly I wasn't even related to. But while Fluttershy and Rarity chatted about sewing and spot dates and other girly girl stuff I couldn't give two tails about, I overheard Rarity mention that Scoots hadn't even attended an Applebloom school until they formed the Crusaders. I really don't like doing the whole thinking thing, but I couldn't help but wonder where Scootaloo went to school before Applebloom. Shirley's school is the only elementary school in Ponyville, otherwise spoiled brats like Diamantiara and Silverspoon wouldn't be there. Then I decided it wasn't worth hurting my brain over and pushed it aside. Figuring she'd raid the fridge anyway, I decided to make breakfast for her. That is, I poured her a bowl of Wonder Rose and a glass of milk. My old home ec teacher claimed it shouldn't be possible to set Cloudstones on fire, but that Ash always finds a way. No way in Tartarus I was going to try cooking anything more complex than a sandwich with the filly in the house. When Scoots woke up, she didn't say anything about her dreams, but she looked a little less haunted than last night. Morning, Rainbow Dash! Morning, Squirt. Thanks again for letting me sleep here last night. No prob. But seriously, kiddo, remember what I said last night? I feel a part of me twist inside at the memory. Scootaloo's face fell ever so slightly, but she nodded. Okay, so maybe it takes more than a single late-night pep talk for a filly to work through this crap. Got it. I'm sure Shy or Twilight could help more, but they're not here, and I'm not going to be the one to tell them. If Scoots wants them to know, she can be the one to ask. Breakfast was pretty quiet. I really wasn't great at talking about stuff that wasn't the Wonderbolts or my awesomeness, especially not with a kid. But after I brought our dishes to the sink, I managed to kneel down to Scootaloo's level and put a hoof on our shoulder. Listen, kid. Scoots. Applebloom and Sweetbelle are probably hurting right now. Same with every pony else in Ponyville. Yeah, they've got their families to look after them, but they're gonna need their friends too. I think you might have been the only pony in Ponyville Discord didn't directly hurt. Though, well, I bit my tongue before I could defeat my own argument by saying that made her situation worse. Hell, it makes you one of the best ponies to help. Their families are all going to be dealing with their own baggage, but you can be there for them like no pony else can right now. Coming from me, of course Scoots held on to every word, though I don't think she really understood it all. She just nodded happily and gave me a tight hug. I was too stunned to really react. You got it, Rainbow Dash! I will! I promise! She raced off to the door to begin her Dash-given mission, then meekly trotted back inside, looking at me sheepishly. Can you give me a ride down? I snorted, not nearly as annoyed as I thought I'd be. A Pegasus filly who can't fly yet. I get why that'd be frustrating for her. But I had my own dreams to focus on, and I knew she'd follow me over a cliff if I asked her to. I wonder if someday, when I'm old and gray and living in my giant mansion surrounded by my own Wonderbolts memorabilia, Scootaloo will be the next element of loyalty. I took her down, of course, and Scoots didn't even try to hide how happy her Rainbow Dash exclusive ride made her. I could tell she wanted it to last longer than it did. I'm just glad I remembered to grab her scooter for her so she couldn't use it as an excuse for a round trip. When we were back on the ground, I put a hoof on her shoulder before she could rush off. One more thing, Squirt. Yeah? Tell them what happened. Tell them how you feel. I promise, if they're really your friends, they'll forgive you. Whether she'd done anything wrong or not wasn't the point. She thought she'd screwed up, and she wouldn't be able to move on without knowing for sure she was forgiven. Yeah, I get the hypocrisy. Don't look at me like that. Scoots didn't really look sure about that part, but her hero worship made her nod eventually. I promise, Rainbow Dash. I promise! And she was off. That was about a week and a half ago now, and given that I saw the Crusaders running from a swarm of bees just yesterday, I'd say they're doing just fine. I told myself I'd do the same. Then I told myself I'd only confess when we're all together. Then I told myself I needed to figure out exactly what I was going to say. Then I told myself there was a bunch of stuff I needed to do first. Then I told myself I was too tired for it. And I told myself everyone else had bigger problems to deal with, and I should wait and help them with theirs before forcing mine on them. And I told myself I'd wait until they weren't busy. Then, before I could come up with another excuse, Applejack showed up at my doorstep with Twilight's cloud-walking spell and one of Pinkie's flying contraptions. Apparently I was the first on a long list of neighborly visits or something. And she told me she knew, that she saw me during her visit to the princesses. I was terrified of the princess knowing and was pretty sure my just desserts were right around the corner, but AG assured me that Celestia didn't care. And she told me that she forgave me, and she knew every pony else would as well. Okay, cool. Now I just need 4 ponies together at the same time to smell my guts out. Honestly, I wonder if anyone from Cloudsdale would believe me if I tried to tell them, or if they'd even let me try. Maybe it's my ego talking, but Equestrian needs their heroes right now, after Discord tore everything apart, and Cloudsdale can't afford to have the realization that one of its natives nearly screwed everyone over. I guess Scoots must have realized something was up with me, because you went and founded a fan club in my honor. I've always wanted one of those. I mean, I kind of figured as affiliate I'd have like 5 by this point, but it's a good start. She even asked me to come in as a guest speaker next week. Those fools aren't gonna know what hit them. Anyway, even with all my moping and brooding, I guess I'm still coping better than Pinkie Pie. I had to join in the conspiracy just to get her to stop dragging every pony around her into her caffeine-induced party craze. She passed out about 5 minutes after we made our move. Figures. Fluttershy's looking after her right now. I tried to tell Twilight I needed to talk with her and the others after that, but she insisted that she needed to go to Huffington ASAP and didn't give me a word in edgewise. Honestly, part of me was about ready to just blurt the whole thing out right then and there. So I'm back to waiting to tell everyone all at once. Twilight said she had no idea how long she'd be gone. Could be days, could be weeks, and I don't even know which one I'd prefer. She got back 2 days later. But, well, Pinkie's still passed the buck out from surviving on sugar for 3 weeks. I poked my head in a few times a day to check up on her. Fluttershy was almost always there, poring over a bunch of photo albums for some reason. One of those times, she asked me a really weird question. Rainbow Dash, do you believe you can be tough, self-assured, and independent without being a bully? I gave her a confused look for a second, because where the hell did that come from? But, well, duh, of course you can. Most flank holes are only flank holes because they're not sure of themselves and need to put others down to feel better about themselves. If you were really self-assured, you wouldn't need to make others miserable just to make yourself look better, would ya? I said proudly, thinking of that loser unicorn from a few months ago and those punks from flight school. Then Fluttershy's body language changed somehow. She tensed up, guarded, almost reminding me of the last time I saw Gilda. And the look she shot me was more cold and angry than I've ever seen her. Then the moment passed, and she was back to the willowy wallflower I was used to. Thank you, Rainbow Dash. There are some ponies who I think needed to hear that. I left a few minutes later, spinning the image around in my brain until I was sure I'd imagined it. Can't think of any better explanation. Finally, on day 4 of Pinkie Pie's Grand Napapalooza, or whatever she'd call it, I was interrupted from my own Napapalooza by Fluttershy rapping on my door as hard as she could. The moment she shouted, "Pinkie Pie's awake!" I was off like a shot. I got to Sugar Cube Corner in record time, only to be blocked by Mr. Cake, who insisted that Pinkie needed time to get her bearings after 4 days of bed rest. Mrs. Cake would help her down when the others arrived. So now I'm just kind of chilling in Sugar Cube Corner, picking out a muffin Mr. Cake offered me free of charge. It was finally time. Pinkie could have her moment, and I'd steal a show and finally spit out this stupid confession, and not have to think about it ever again. Fluttershy finally made it back, and for a moment she shot me a glare that made me think she was going to yell at me for ditching her like that, which, yeah, fair enough. But then between blinks she shifted to the sweet, over-forgiving Fluttershy I was used to. Oh, Rainbow Dash, have you gotten to see Pinkie Pie yet? Nah, Mr. Cake says he doesn't want us all parading in and out of Pinkie's room. They'll bring her down when we're all here together. Fluttershy tilted her head. Oh, but won't you just try to throw another party with us all there? And wouldn't it take less energy to talk to us all one at a time instead of all at once? And, well, I was the one who was with her when she woke up, so... Mr. Cake chimed in from where he was mixing a bowl of some purple batter. Of course you can go up, Fluttershy, but I think Cupcake just wants to make sure Pinkie gets enough time to rest and relax without you girls interrupting her every few minutes, and I don't entirely disagree. It's okay, Fluttershy. I waved to Hoof dismissively, beckoning her to my table. I kind of prefer it this way. There was something I wanted to say to all of you at once anyway. Fluttershy still looked a little uncertain, but eventually shook her head and sat down across from me. If you say so. It's much better to have friends who care and worry about you than staying all by yourself. Don't you agree? Yes? The abrupt change in conversation topic threw me off. So, Rainbow, what changed your mind about being alone? Fluttershy asked, looking at me curiously. I still had no idea where the hell these questions were coming from, but, well, it's Fluttershy. Refusing to answer with those big blue eyes looking at me like that just feels mean. I mean, it's not like I was completely alone. I had Gilda, remember? And you, Fluttershy. There was no way I was going to leave you alone with those jerks picking on you all the time. And you showed just how much you cared about me by noticing when I fell off and deciding I was more important than the race, and came looking for me right away, right? I startled, taken completely off guard. Even Mr. Cake stopped his stirring for a moment to look at her in shock. Fluttershy's tone had some sort of weird, I don't know, sultriness to it. She leaned across the table almost playfully, staring at me with that unfamiliar glint in her eyes again. I gulped. I already apologized for that ages ago, didn't I? I know I was a bonehead filly. How do you think I wound up being friends with Gilda? I know I didn't deserve your friendship back then, but you gave it to me anyway. I know I never said it, but I was really happy when I found out you were in Ponyville too. The glint cleared, and she leaned back in her seat with that gentle smile back on her face. It's okay, Rainbow. I never blamed you anyway. If anything, I should have been thanking you, even before I knew your sonic rainbow was the thing that scared the animals away. I wouldn't have gotten my cutie mark if you hadn't knocked me off. And then you got yours too on the same day. How could I ever be mad at you after that? I released a breath I didn't know I was holding. But, that didn't really answer my question, she hummed. It's okay if you don't want to. I understand. But there's somebody who needs my help, and I think your answer can help me help her. I was too relieved to see Fluttershy not like that again to protest. I don't know, I guess everyone in Ponyville is so nice and mushy all the time, it sort of rubbed off on me. And when I saw how well you fit in here, it, I don't know, made me want to fit in too. Same way I want to fit in with the Wonderbolts. Oh, she purred. Rainbow Dash wants to fit in? What happened to wanting to be unique and stand out from the crowd? Here I thought a pony like you would hate fitting in. She tilted her head and patted, almost mockingly. I tensed again. Okay, maybe that's not the best choice of words. I was too caught up in my victory to realize how close I came to hurting you, but I never forgot how good it felt to stand up for you, even if I didn't want to admit it way back then. And of course I want to fit in with the Wonderbolts. They're the only ponies in Equestria that can beat my awesomeness. And I don't know, Ponyville's just accepting. Even for a Pegasus who doesn't fly and a lazy braggart. Fluttershy smiled warmly, her poise shifting to some sort of dainty dignity. In other words, it felt good to stand up for others and think about someone other than yourself. Even if you're a little afraid of saying so? That weird sort of sourceless tension was pulled from the air at her words. Fluttershy just kept smiling at me in that Fluttershy way of hers. I breathed out. Yeah. She giggled and nuzzled me. Thank you, Rainbow Dash. That was a very good lesson. I think I'll go help Pinkie Pie now. She got up and made for the stairs, but then stopped and looked at me. Oh, I'm sorry if anything I said scared or hurt you. Sometimes it hurts a little to pull out a thorn, but it's better than letting it fester. Leaving it alone until the entire paw's infected would be the really cruel thing. For a heartbeat, there was this almost flat, can you believe this crap look in her eyes. Then it was replaced with a sweetly triumphant smile. I hope you don't think I'm bad for that. Oh, no, it's okay, I said quickly. Fluttershy nodded back at me and trotted merrily up the stairs. What on earth was that about? Asked Mr. Cake. I jumped a little. I'd forgotten he was there. I've never seen that mare act that way before. I wish I knew, I shrugged. I looked back down at my barely eaten muffin and whispered a silent thank you. It took a few more minutes and a bit more muffin mangling for the others to arrive. I was kind of surprised to see Twilight arriving with Rarity and AJ in tow. Hey guys, I said easily, then winced at how similar it sounded to what I'd said while pretending to be brainwashed. Where's Pinkie Pie? Applejack asked immediately. I'll go fetch her, said Mr. Cake, ignoring Rarity scolding AJ for her lack of manners. He slid the tray he was working with to the side and headed upstairs. Fluttershy's already with her, I told the others. Guess she told you guys first? Actually, Spock did, Applejack answered. We were checking up on Twilight's patient when he came running in. How are they doing? She hasn't gotten any worse, Twilight said, unusually emotionless. I might have pressed her on her unwillingness to share, but... How are you? The pie with the pink has returned! Now with 20% more pink! Alice turned at once to see Fluttershy helping Pinkie Pie down the stairs, the Cakes close behind. Hey girls, Pinkie Pie grinned. Great to see you all here. You know what this calls for? A party! We all tensed. Just kidding! She burst into giggles before we could dogpile her. I think we're all kind of worn out on parties. Ponyville's ponies need more hugs than confetti right now. Q7 pony jaws all dropping at the same time. Pinkie Pie, the pony who looked for any excuse she could to throw a party, calmly and meekly admitting that she might have overdone it on the parties. Rarity did one of her stupid fake feints into Applejack. Fluttershy just beamed. I was at Pinkie Pie's side in an instant, pressing a foreleg to her forehead. Pinkie, are you feeling okay? Are you sick? Do you have a fever? Did a parasite infest your brain? Pinkie Pie shook my leg off. Don't be silly, of course I am! I've never felt better! And no. She just smiled at me with those big blue eyes of hers. Pinkie, Twilight butted in. Are you sure you're fine? I mean, you don't want to throw a party? Pinkie trotted up to her and tilted her head. Twilight, how boring would it be if you had a book that went on forever and you could never finish it? I could almost see the gears in Twilight's brain jam up. That is... It's the same thing with parties. If a party went on forever, we could never get to the group hug at the end. And having a party for every single itty-bitty little thing isn't much different from a party that goes on forever, right? Or wait, I'm still getting used to my brain working like this. Okay. Twilight, parties are supposed to be something special, right? I half expected Pinkie to speak in slow motion then, the way you do when trying to explain stuff to ponies who don't speak Ponish. Yes? So, if I throw a party every day, then they stop being special, right? They're just part of a routine. It's like when the cakes first took me in. She glances at them with a fond grin. And I wound up eating way too much sugar and sweets because I didn't get any back on the rock farm. I wound up a little porcupine until they finally stepped in and taught me that sweets are a sometimes food. But it's the same thing with parties, right? Having a party all the time for everything makes it stop being special. And the whole point in a party is that it's a special time to relax and have fun. She stretched her forelegs out wider than any pony other than Pinkie could, and dragged Rarity, AJ, and Twilight into a big hug. This is so cool! There's so many things I couldn't understand until now. I'm still trying to figure it all out. It's like there's a whole world around me I couldn't see before. Twilight squinted and muttered something under her breath. Did that nap somehow cure her autism? Pinkie blinked at her. What do my taxes have to do with this? Never mind. Okie dokie. Pinkie finally released them and started prancing in circles. But guys, it's so great! It's like I've been let out of a cage I didn't know I was in! She turned to me and Fluttershy, and I saw her eyes mist up with happy tears. It's like I'm a me that's all of me. I glanced at Fluttershy for help and saw that she was more surprised than any of us, somehow. Dearie, Mrs. Cake spoke up, reminding everybody that she and her husband were there. She put a hoof on Pinkie's shoulder. I know you've already been resting a long time, but I think you need to get your strength back before doing anything too exciting. Maybe you should come back upstairs and lie down for a bit longer. I think maybe going outside after being cooped up in her room for 3 days ought to do her some good, Mr. Cake argued. Oh, there will be plenty of time for that later, don't you think? Actually, I think there's no time like the present. Pinkie shouldn't risk herself outside just yet. Risk herself doing what? A walk isn't gonna kill her, right, Pinkie Pie? Pinkie startled from where she'd been watching her kind of parents like a tennis match. Oh, I'd really like to go out and see everything. It'll be like seeing Ponyville for the first time all over again. And I want to spend more time with my friends after I made them worry so much. I Pinkie promised not to throw any more parties until I'm all better. Mrs. Cake frowned. Dear, it's not just that. You're acting a little strange, and we're worried about you. A little strange? Huh. Normally I act really strange, so I guess only a little strange is really super strange on me. Now Mr. Cake looked worried too. I think we all were. Pinkie Pie, are you sure you're fine? Pinkie Pie took a few slow, calm steps towards him and Mrs. Cake, smiling serenely. In a voice almost as soft and sweet as Fluttershy's, she said, I feel like I've been sick for a long time now, and now I'm finally all better. I promise I'm still Pinkie Pie. I'm just Pinkamena and Diane now, too. She turned around to face us. I'm still the Pinkie Pie who loves to prank, loves to have fun, loves to make others laugh, loves to party, and loves her candy. And I still know how Equestria was made. See, it started with this woman named Bonnie in the 80s. Pinkie Pie, do you have any idea how this happened? The, becoming whole thing, not Equestria, Violet interrupted. Oh, that's easy. While I was sleeping, Pinkamena really wanted to chat with Pinkie, but Pinkie wanted to talk to Pinkamena because it was Pinkamena's job to always be sad so Pinkie could always be happy. Then they argued so much Pinkie got angry, but she didn't want to be angry either, so she made Angry Pinkie. But Angry wanted to eat up all the other Pinkie Pies, so Pinkie and Pinkamena had to make up to take her back. And now I'm all of me again. We all stared at her. She grinned back. I finally broke the silence. Pinkie Pie, have you gone crazy? Actually, Applejack said, shaking herself a little. I think she might be saner than a lot of us right now. She narrowed her eyes a little and stared directly into Pinkie Pie's. Pinkie didn't flinch or stutter or anything, but she didn't treat it like a game like she might have normally. She just looked back curiously until AJ shook her head and turned to the rest of us. Yep, she's telling the truth. Somehow. And how the hell does a staring contest prove that? I asked incredulously. I just know. What, did that visit with the princess give you lie detector vision or something? Applejack opened her mouth to retort, then screwed her face up a little, then opened it again. What she's saying is the truth. I know well enough to recognize it up close and personal. And no, I can't tell you how. After saving the world a second time, we'd built up a bit more of a reputation for our element bearing. By the way the Cakes didn't protest, I guess they knew she was honesty, or they were too overwhelmed by weird by not to say anything. None of the rest of us knew how to counter Honesty Pony either. Twilight was gazing at some point in the distance. I can almost hear the gears turning in that big brain of hers. Finally, she refocused on Pinkie and asked, Pinkie Pie, as soon as you're feeling up to it, I want you to tell me every detail of what you remember about your experience. I think it may be able to help someone. Pinkie Pie nodded her head happily. Okie dokie dokie! Yep, still Pinkie Pie. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a flicker of something on Fluttershy's face. Then she took a few steps forward. I think we've all forgotten something very important. She wrapped her forelegs around Pinkie Pie, nuzzling her gently. Welcome back, Pinkie. I'm so happy you're better now. He laughed a little and rushed to join the hug, even the Cakes, and just stayed there for a bit. Weirdly normal now or not, her best friend was back and better than ever. Which means all of us seem to have recovered from Discord's bullshit. All except... Hey Rainbow, Applejack spoke up suddenly, as if she'd read my mind. Don't you have something you want to say too, Sugar Cube? Damn it. Is now really the best time? I pleaded. With her or myself, I wasn't sure. I mean, this is Pinkie's moment, so... Oh, you got something to say, Dashi? She gently pushed the hug apart to look at me. I don't mind, go ahead! We're all friends here, right? Really, Pinkie, I think that's been the problem for a while, Applejack snorted. I growled. Actually, I've been thinking a lot more than I'd like lately. That's the problem. Pinkie Pie giggled. Well, it's time for that good old Rainbow Dash action. Come on, tell us! Really now, Rainbow Dash. Whatever it is, I'm sure there's no shame in sharing, Verity added. Now that it's been brought up, it would be a little awkward to go along like it never happened, Twilight admitted. It's alright, Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy crooned. Just let it out. Fine, but, it's a little private. I glanced at the Cakes, who looked uncomfortable. Twilight bailed me out. I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Cake, but could you please, just for a little bit? With no small amount of reluctance, they ducked into the kitchen, muttering quietly between themselves. I know it was kind of stupid to do my big dramatic confession in the middle of Sugar Cube Corner, but I needed to rip the damn band-aid off. Fluttershy beckons us to a table, and we all take a seat. Applejack on my left, Pinkie on my right, Fluttershy directly across. Let it all out, Sugar Cube. I promise they aren't going to hate you, Applejack whispers reassuringly, resting her hoof next to mine. I closed my eyes, breathing deep, then let it all out. Showtime. Okay, so in the Hedge Maze Discord showed me Cloudsdale crumbling. He said I could either ditch you and go save it, or stick with you and let Cloudsdale fall apart. Gertie spoke up. Oh, we all know that, darling. And it's clear Discord brainwashed you the same as the rest of us. Otherwise, you'd have remembered that Pegsai can fly. I shot her a glare. And all the Pegsai in the hospital too sick or broken to fly? Or all the foals who haven't learned to use their wings yet? Gertie opened her mouth and closed it, ears wilting. Well, Twilight said after a nervous glance between us. It was all a lie anyway, and Discord warped your thinking, same as the rest of us. It really isn't anything to be ashamed of, Rainbow Dash. Yeah, sure, except that's not the whole story. Y'all looked at me worriedly. I choked, my throat closing up. Damn it, just spit it out already. I got to Cloudsdale! Discord fucking congratulated me on getting there! Then he told every pony right then and there that I'd stabbed Equestria in the back to save them. They all hated me. Then Discord just snapped his fingers and made them all as insane as the rest of Ponyville anyway. I begged him to stop. There were tears clogging my throat now. I didn't let them stop me. Then he tried to find you guys in the hedge maze, and I saw you were all as nuts as everyone else. And I ran away again! All I could do when I realized you guys were yourselves again was pretend, and hope to Celestia you never realized I was faking it. I didn't want you all to hate me. You're all the best friends I've ever had. I couldn't lose that. I'm sorry. My entire body was shaking. It was like I'd pulled a jagged knife from my chest. There was stunned silence for a moment. Then Verity, deadly calm, whispered, So you're telling me that you delayed the world being saved, and Discord being defeated, dragged me and Pinkie across the sky, forced us to tie you down like a mad pony, all to save face? I flinched, but nodded meekly. Her eyes narrowed. How could you? Didn't you trust us? Didn't you believe in us? Didn't you realize that we all went through the same thing? Discord hurt us all, Rainbow Dash. Haven't you looked around Ponyville lately? Do you really think you're the only one who's been hurting? Rarity, Applejack said, rushing to my defense. Not that I deserve it. I'm the damn element of honesty, and I forgave her already. Rarity blinked. You knew? I've known about it since I visited the princesses, and I forgave her day one. So how about doing the generous thing, Miss Generosity, and forgiving her too? That's not a dog whistle you can blow to make me do whatever you want, Rarity hissed. She looked at me coldly and back-cuffed me, though not as hard as I deserved. That wasn't for what you did while brainwashed, Rainbow Dash. It's for nearly getting Pinkie and I killed in your haste to keep this all a secret, and for refusing to say anything for weeks afterward. Now will you stop this nonsense about feeling guilty about something that wasn't your fault? How couldn't it have been my fault? I yelled. I lost my connection to my element until Twilight made me remember all the times I was loyal to you guys. Betrayal isn't betrayal unless it's your own choice, right? So no matter what Discord did to me, it had to have been my choice. I could feel the others' nervous gazes watching us. Applejack's hoof was a comforting, grounding weight beside mine. Verity didn't let up. And greed isn't greed if you're being brainwashed into wanting it. Would you stop being so arrogant as to think you're the only one Discord's taint had no effect on? That's the problem! I've thought about it. Yes, I know, me thinking shut up, and Discord or no, I didn't have a choice back there. I would have either had to give up on you guys, Equestria and the princess, or let my family, my home, and my people get destroyed. What the hell could I have done differently? Some pony, any pony, I'd give up everything I am if I could just find an answer to these stupid questions. Twilight finally spoke up, wielding her facts and logic like some fancy sword. If there's nothing you could have done differently, then what's the point in beating yourself up over it? We're the good guys! We're supposed to always win no matter what! Without having to make any sacrifices, damn it! I cursed. Applejack shook her head beside me. No, Rainbow. That's what them storybook heroes do. Ponies like us, we make the hard choices so no pony else has to. But I'm loyalty! Or at least I'm supposed to be. Give me a way out, a lifeline, something, anything. You're also a frickin' flesh and blood mare, Applejack snapped. I flinched. I've told you before, Discord would have made you regret it no matter what choice you made. But what about next time, or the time after that, or the time after that? So I couldn't have chosen better than any other pony? Then why the hell did the element choose me? Was I just conveniently there along with the rest of you? My heart was pounding. My head hurt, my mouth was dry, my wings were tense. The world was a mess of wet blurs in my eyes. Celestia, I wish I'd never won the Best Young Flyer competition. At least then I could have kept on not giving a shit about Cloudsdale. It was so easy picking between you and Gilda after I saw what a feathery jackass she'd become, but this... What's the point in being loyal to others if you're gonna be forced to pick between them anyway? You're the brains, Twilight! Tell me! There are no easy answers, Rainbow. That's part of life. I've been taught a dozen times by now that no matter how hard you plan for the best, sometimes there are just choices you have to make. But what was I supposed to do? I whispered. What am I supposed to do? What am I going to do? If no matter what I do, I end up betraying someone. How can I say I'm loyal to anyone? I can barely breathe, my throat's so tight. Let me out of these fucking contradictions. Let me out, let me out, let me out. Rainbow, you're thinking in circles, Twilight shouted. Rainbow, your colors, Fluttershy whispered, horrified. I didn't care what she meant. I didn't care. I just need an answer. Something, anything. Just give me something I can hold on to, damn it. And then I found it. The confusion clears. I laughed darkly. What good are you? I hissed. And what good am I? If no pony else could have done any better in Discord Trap, then why should I be loyalty at all? There's a feeling in my veins like fire, yet I feel so cold. It's not fair. I'll make them all see how not fucking fair it is. The world's colors darken in my eyes, then twist and turn like the stubborn emotions tearing out my chest. Forget it. None of you understand, do you? Pegasus who abandoned her home to play with some animals in the forest. A nerd who stayed loyal to her studies until she betrayed them for friendship. A sugar addict who ran away from home to find a new family. A farmer who betrayed her pride when her body betrayed her. And a unicorn constantly torn between her business sense and her element. Don't you get it? There is no loyalty without betrayal! Everything around me faded to grays and reds. I screamed and relished in the equine sound that came out. I stumbled away from the table on shaking, darkening hooves. The wings flapped in front of me, and I saw them coated in black smoke. I caught a glimpse of myself in one of Sugar Cube Corner's mirrors and saw the colors of my mane inverted like a photo negative. My eyes had lost their centers, becoming as blind as I've been up till now. My teeth twisted into fangs, the taste of metal mixed with salt. Is she like you? Fluttershy whispered to herself. Then her eyes narrowed. No, this isn't from the old man. I can smell it. It's coming from her. I didn't know what she was blabbing about, and I didn't care. No one else did either. All their attention was on me. This was what I'd always wanted, right? I growled and dive-bombed Twilight. To hell with her and her stupid, useless answers. What did she know about me? What did anyone know about me? Since when did anyone understand me? Stupid cheating unicorn teleported out of my way. Applejack ran me from the side and sent me spinning through the air, slamming into the mirror and the shelf next to it. Sugar Cube, stop. You're destroying yourself! Since when are you a know-it-all? I snarled, launching myself off the floor and flying right behind her, knocking her to her knees. Is this what I felt when I used the memory spell on her? Twilight asked herself. I didn't care what she or anyone thought of me. I was me, myself, a solitary ego. And I was more badass than any of these lamos put together. I'd make them see what loyalty was, whether they liked it or not. Rainbow Dash, would you cut it out? Rarity shouted, pulling a curtain in her magic to try and tie me down. Not this time. I spin around and pull it from her control. Just let it go, Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy shouted. Weren't any of them going to take this fight seriously? Then her stance shifted. Fine, we'll do it your way, she said to herself. She leapt at me head first, but folded her wings in at the last moment, turning her headbutt into a full tackle, wrapping her forelegs around my middle. But on my terms! I tried to kick her away, but her grip was like a vice. Fucking whatever. If I could drag an earth pony and a unicorn across the sky, what was one more Pegasus? Actually, wait, where? Surprise! Pinkie Pie appeared behind me in a blink of an eye, and she hugged me. What? Fluttershy looked up at me with a snarl I'd never seen on her before. If you decided to not pick your friends or your home and just planted your ass down in front of them, the old man would have ended the game anyway and told you you'd betrayed both, genius. Was that really Fluttershy saying that? Confusion shook me. I squirmed in Pinkie Pie's hold and realized that there was no force behind it. It was gentle, comforting, warm enough to melt away the ice in my chest. I let myself fall to the floor. The colors of the world came back, but stayed dull. In the pieces of the shattered mirror, I saw a gray-tinted mare who just wanted to know what she was meant to do. No monster. No creature of darkness. Had it even been real? "Now you just listen to Auntie Pinkie Pie," Pinkie said, in a strangely motherly tone I thought only Fluttershy could manage. "I'm going to tell you a bedtime story, and I want you to listen really good, understand?" I nodded numbly. "Once upon a time, there was a donkey in a barn with 2 piles of hay. The donkey was the same distance from the 2 piles, and the 2 piles were exactly the same size. They both tasted just as good, and they were both just as nice. The donkey was hungry and wanted to eat them, except he couldn't decide on which one to start with because they were exactly the same. So the donkey tried to figure out which one to eat first, but couldn't figure it out. So, unable to choose between them, it starved. The donkey never realized that by not making the decision of which pile of hay to eat first, it was failing to make the choice to eat at all, so it was making the choice to starve. It ended up not having either. By not making a choice, you're still making a choice not to make it. And not making the choice cost the donkey. The donkey was too stubborn and proud to realize that. And what a silly donkey it was. Yeah, for the first time in my life, I didn't feel ashamed to cry. What a stupid summer jackass! I turned and hugged Pinkie Pie with tears in my eyes, and I laughed. Pinkie Pie began laughing too, followed by Fluttershy. Freddy and Twilight just politely chuckled, while Applejack snickered. There was a feeling like spring rain inside me, washing away the grime, and something like a warm summer wind, blowing away the awful heated fury I've been carrying for so long. I wiped away my tears and realized the world was brighter than it had been in a long time. Yeah, I know I'm using the same metaphor over and over again. Go ask Reverie or Twilight if you want fine poetry. Of course, Twilight just had to get the last word in. Rainbow Dash, as long as you're loyal to more than one thing, there will always be conflict. And sometimes you'll have to pick between ponies you love equally. But that doesn't make one less important than the other. In Rainbow Dash? Fluttershy asked, back to her usual sweet self. Ponies who weren't loyal wouldn't feel bad about having to betray one pony to save another. I think it's the fact that you do, and couldn't bear to face the same thing again, that proves that you are loyalty. Behind me, I can hear Rarity whisper to Applejack, clearly thinking I couldn't hear. Is that really all, Pinkie Pie? Are you really Rarity? Applejack responds plainly. What's that supposed to mean? Just saying. Think Pinkie's the only one here who's changed, misgiven free sewing lessons to spoiled fillies without a mom? How does it really matter? The point is, Sugar Cube, we've all been changing. We just saw it happen to Pinkie Pie all at once. I'd noticed it too, and so had Twilight apparently. But none of us really minded. It felt natural, like we were all sort of growing up. After we helped clean up the mess I'd made, we spent a long while just hanging out together, talking about nothing. We told jokes, we chatted about little nothings. We shared stories about the ponies who were recovering along with us. We felt happy for those who were proving stronger than the scars Discord left, and lousy for those who were still struggling. Applejack told a story about some sea pony ghost in the Canterlot Fountain that I wouldn't have believed from any pony else, and Rarity in turn brought up her and Sweetie Belle's sea pony lineage, which I'm less sure of. The cakes came back after a bit and didn't say a word about my episode. There's no way they didn't hear it. I don't know if they blocked it out or were just trying to be polite. They waved off on my offer to pay for the broken mirror, at the very least. I asked Pinkie to grab me some paper and a pencil at some point. I don't write, like, ever, but I knew this was a letter that needed to be written. My friends were shocked when they realized who I was writing to, but after the month we've all had, I think they understood. Gilda, I know we left off on pretty bad terms, but if you're willing to accept my other friends and their quirks, I know we can still be friends too. We had plenty of good times, and I want to think they meant as much to you as they do to me. Waiting for you too, Rainbow Dash. So I'm not a master of the written word, sue me. I knew Gilda wouldn't care for anything more flower anyway. Rarity grumbled. You should have included it and accept every other pony in Ponyville. Baby steps, Rarity. Baby steps, Fluttershy cooed. For the briefest flicker of an instant, I thought I saw her rolling her eyes. So, yeah, I finally pulled my head out of my flank and forgave myself. Big whoop. I know, I'm a moron. I really should have done this way back when I first helped Scootaloo. I related more than I realized when Scoots kept saying she was a runaway. I wonder how her parents are... Wait. Hey, Rarity, Applejack. You ever meet one of Scootaloo's parents? Not really, AJ shrugs. She usually just shows up at our place. Never talks about him or anything. Now that you mention it, I've never met them either, Rarity mused. She gave me a note from them once, agreeing to let Scootaloo sleep over on occasion, but I can't say I've met them face to face. Damn it. I rushed to hug all my friends goodbye, lost count and hugged Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie twice, and zoomed out. Classes were still on half schedules, with the teachers needing as much professional help as the students. They managed to track down Miss Cheerilee pretty easily. Well, no, I can't say I've ever met Scootaloo's parents. They appear to be out of town quite often. They missed parent-teacher conferences and had no time to reschedule, so we were forced to correspond by mail. What about when Scootaloo enrolled? She just provided a letter from her father about her beginning attendance. Why, is something wrong? No, nothing. I was just, curious about my #1 fan. Thanks a million, got a dash! I had a good idea of where I'd find her. Kima Crusader's clubhouse, even though neither of the others were with her. Hey, Squirt. I grinned and waved a hoof as I stepped through the front door. Rainbow Dash! She fluttered her tiny wings and hugged me. I knew I couldn't just bring it up with her out of the blue. She'd deny until the cows came home. Probably find some excuse to run off if I kept pressing. I had to do this carefully, and thankfully I had a plan. So, I was wondering, would you be willing to help me with a prank at my place? I need someone to do the grunt work, and you seem pretty eager to please. Absolutely, Rainbow Dash! Kid was practically jumping out of her skin in excitement. She had just enough self-control not to wiggle her way off my back when I flew us to my place. So what do you need me to do? She asked, eager as always to prove herself. Oh, I just need help writing fake letters to some of my friends. Think you can handle something like that? Her ears twitched a little before she nodded eagerly. Sure, I bet I can give it a try. I showed her to a table and got out some old letters from my friends. What do you mean, how do they stay up in the clouds? Not everything at Pegasus owns is made of clouds. House clouds are usually sturdy enough to hold things like blankets and mail. I hefted her a pencil and paper. Okay, let's see how good you are first. Think you can copy Fluttershy's mouth writing? You bet! Scootaloo took a second to analyze Fluttershy's writing, then copied it down perfectly, right down to the little quiver on her Y's. I hummed and slid over a receipt from AJ. Okay, now show me Applejack. It was even easier than Fluttershy's. Dang, you're good at this. Now try this, it's Twilight's fancy magic writing. Think you can handle it? Scootaloo looked a little worried, but didn't give up. In a few careful pen strokes, I was looking at a perfect copy of Twilight's elegant penmanship. Okay, now even I was impressed. So impressed I almost forgot what we were here for. Quickly. Okay, think fast. Show me your dad's mouth writing. Scootaloo responded automatically, writing the rest of the note in a completely different style from her usual scrawl. I hummed. Wow, that's great. You must have lots of experience with this. Yeah, lots. Miss Shirley keeps asking to see my parents, and she caught herself. Too late. And now for the hard bit. Scoots, how long have you been without a family? She looked terrified. I could see her eyes darting around in search of an escape, but, well, Cloud House 30 feet off the ground. She was trapped. She lowered her head in defeat. Since before I met Sweetie Belle. They said they were going to get something, and I should wait right where I was. They told me not to feel bad about accepting anything Nice Ponies gave me, but to be careful about going with them. I kept waiting for a really long time, until I got so hungry I had to run away. Who else knows? Nobody. Let me guess, you've been staying in the clubhouse at night? Beats sleeping under the princess's stars. You know there aren't a lot of adults who'd be happy about a filling living on her own, right? I know, but I don't want to be forced to live with some random adults I don't know, or be taken back to Cloudsdale. I want to stay here with you, and Applebloom and Sweetie Belle. I stared at her for a moment, asked myself if I was really doing this. Then I turned and walked into the guest bedroom I'd been using as storage and started pulling stuff out. Rainbow Dash? I didn't respond, just kept dragging boxes into the hallway until there was space to trot around, and started remolding the floor into something resembling a mattress. Scoots stayed quiet behind me. I gave the admittedly lumpy mattress a final pat and turned around. A secret shared is a secret kept, Scoots. If anyone asks, your parents are letting you live with me as my apprentice. Got it? That's just what you're telling them. Got it? Actual apprenticeships could wait until she could fly properly. Got it! Her little wings buzzed. Now come on, let's go get your junk out of the clubhouse. I'm sure your friends will enjoy the extra room. Right. On the way down, I remember the conversation that started all this. So, how did things go when you told your friends about Discord? She hesitated. You did tell them, right? I told them right after I left you. Called up a Crusader meeting and everything. I laughed softly. You're a lot braver than me, Squirt. A whole lot braver. Braver than you? That's impossible. You'd be surprised, kid. So tell me what happened. They said there was nothing to be angry about. Applebloom figured at least if I got away I could have found some help. They weren't mad or anything. I laughed again and brought us in for a landing. See, kid? Nothing to worry about. The longer you keep things bottled up, the worse they get. Ugh, gag me. At least none of the others were here to hear me say that. Right, Rainbow Dash, you're the smartest pony ever! Yeah, I wasn't gonna contradict her this time. She needs someone to believe in too. I hug her. She hugs back. As she bounced into the clubhouse to gather up her blankets and things, I realized what I'd done. I'd taken on responsibility for a filly I'd considered a cute annoyance just weeks before. And the other time when I'd be sure I'd just trapped myself. But, you know what? If this is being trapped, then being trapped is how I'm finally free.